Hi, I'm Anthony Kingston, author of Holistic Microneedling. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the difference between dermarollers and chemical peels. Now we get asked this a lot in the clinic and also by email and so forth, people trying to compare and choose which cosmetic treatment might suit them. Okay, a couple of things first of all. How do they work? Now both dermarollers and chemical peels work by creating trauma in the dermis level of the skin. So they have to pass through the epidermis, the very surface layer of the skin, through to the deeper level of the dermis. They then create trauma in that area of the skin, just a tiny amount of trauma, and this then stimulates the body to create an entirely new layer of collagen in that area. Now before I proceed, I should just mention quickly, if anyone's having trouble with my accent or keeping up with the video, we do provide a full transcript of all these videos on our website, so you can go there and have a look there and read it in your own time if you want to. So we've established that both the chemical peel and the dermaroller can create your body's own natural layer of collagen and enhance this healing effect and therefore create new smoother skin. So therefore they can both be used for the treatment of wrinkles, patchy skin, scars and other lines on the face, amongst other things. So the main difference between the two then. The chemical peels basically remove a surface layer of your skin, and what this actually means is they remove very surface layer, part of the stratum corneum, which is actually the waterproof outer layer of your body. Now because of this, what you actually get is you have a slightly higher rate increase infection risk, and you also have some smaller risk of pigmentation issues and so forth, as you do with most ablative treatments that remove something of the surface level of the skin. Dehydration also becomes a bigger issue with the skin, obviously, once that barrier has been damaged anyway. Now in comparison, dermarollers actually work by creating punctures through that surface level, through the epidermis, to get down into the deeper dermis level where they can stimulate collagen. Now these puncture holes can also result in a degree of dehydration because obviously the body's fluids can leak out through these holes, but it tends to be rather short term because the actual holes formed tend to completely close in about 8 hours after the treatment. So 8 hours later, they're completely sealed and the waterproof barrier is back intact and in place. Okay, so I mentioned briefly that importantly, when you're using a dermaroller, they've actually shown in scientific studies that it's quite safe for all different skin types because it has no effects on pigmentation changes on the skin. It doesn't damage the little cells at the skin surface called the melanocytes, which produce melanin and control the pigmentation of the skin. Also, what we should discuss is when you're using a 0.5mm roller, as many people are either in clinic or at home, the recovery times tend to be much shorter using dermarollers as opposed to chemical peels. This then changes as you move up to a 1.5mm on the face and depends a little bit on what level of chemical peel you actually use. The old phenol peels, of course, were extremely painful and with very, very long recovery times. Many of the more modern ones are much easier to use than that. The last thing I want to discuss briefly, and we get this question a lot, is so if they both work on the same mechanism, can you use chemical peels and dermarolling together? Well, yes and no. You wouldn't tend to use them together at the same time. Many years ago, I know many practitioners used to do this and actually use a chemical peel and the dermaroller treatment simultaneously. I definitely wouldn't recommend that. Working on the same mechanism, it can just sort of overstimulate and create too much trauma in the skin. So I wouldn't recommend that. So then the next question is, well then, how far apart do you actually do them? Well, my golden rule is at least 2 weeks. But the bigger thing you have to think about is you have to wait till the inflammation from one treatment has faded before you can consider doing the second treatment. And I'd say that's usually a minimum of 2 weeks, but in some cases it can actually be quite a lot longer. That's it for me this time. For those of you who are interested in learning more about dermaroller treatments, dermaroller products, instruction guides and how to get the best out of your skin needling equipment, please go to our website, have a look there. We've got a range of useful information and products also you can purchase for both home use and in clinic.